What if a single life could bridge psychology, myth, and the sacred, and show us how the human soul makes meaning? This is Carl Gustav Jung, the man who mapped the unconscious. Today we go deeper than his biography. We'll read the Navamsa, D9, and do an Atmakaraka-based Jaimini reading to uncover Jung's soul purpose and why he was drawn to spiritual psychology. If you love psychology, mythology, or astrology, hit subscribe and let's dive in. Born July 26, 1875 in Switzerland, Jung grew up between a pastor father and a mystical mother. From childhood, he experienced vivid dreams and inner figures, an inner world that demanded attention. Medicine, then psychiatry, brought him into contact with the unconscious. Partnership with Freud taught him techniques. Separation from Freud liberated him to explore myth, alchemy, and archetype. But why did Jung himself feel compelled to go inward, to risk reputation and solitude? The chart you gave us contains keys. Let's unlock them. Quick primer. The Navamsa, D9, is the Vedic soul chart. It refines destiny, dharma, vocation, and spiritual orientation. The Atmakaraka, AK, is the planet that holds the highest degree in the natal chart, the soul significator. In Jaimini techniques, the Karakamsa is the Navamsa sign of the Atmakaraka and reveals the soul's habitat, its purpose, and the quality of its spiritual quest. In Jung's chart, the Atmakaraka is Mars, and the Karakamsa, Mars is Navamsa, is Pisces. That pairing, Mars AK in Scorpio with Karakamsa Pisces, is the central key. Let's unpack it. Mars is Jung's Atmakaraka, the soul's primary driver. Mars sits at 29 degrees Scorpio in Jyesta Nakshatra, a late degree intense placement. This combination shows a soul compelled toward transformation, secrecy, initiation, and authority over the darker territories of the psyche. A few specific notes. Scorpio plus Mars, AK. Scorpio rules depth, death, rebirth, taboo, and the underground of the psyche. As AK, Mars gives Jung a soul bent toward penetration, to go where others fear to look. It's the energy of a pioneer therapist who will deliberately descend into shadow. 29th degree potency. The very end of Scorpio signals culmination, urgency, a karmic pressure to complete a transformational mission in this life. Jung's long obsessive work with dreams and symbols fits this urgency. Jyesta flavor. Jyesta's archetype is the elder initiator, guardianship of secret knowledge. Jung's work reads like an initiation manual for modern souls. But there's more. AK's Navamsa, the Karakamsa, tells how this soul wants to be realized. Mars's Navamsa, the Karakamsa, falls in Pisces. This is a profound blending. The warrior soul, Mars, seeks union with the mystic, Pisces. Interpreting this, Pisces Karakamsa. The soul's natural language is compassion, surrender, mythic imagination, and union with the collective unconscious. The mission is transpersonal, not merely personal achievement. Mars AK to Karakamsa Pisces. The inner warrior becomes a servant of the numinous. Aggressive energy is sublimated into a quest for spiritual insight, dream work, and mythic healing. Jung literally turned martial inner energy into a vocation of inner guidance. So the Atmakaraka tells us, Jung's soul demanded courageous descent, Scorpio Mars, aimed at spiritual synthesis and universal compassion. That explains why psychology for him became a spiritual discipline rather than just a medical specialty. Now let's read Jung's D9 to see how his soul lived this mission in practice. Key D9 highlights and how they shaped his spiritual psychology. Karakamsa, D9 Meghna. The provided D9 shows Legna Navamsa in Gemini, Mercury sign, an intellect that must communicate the soul's findings. Jung's prolific writing, from psychological types to the Red Book, matches this communicative dharma. He translated deep inner experiences into language. Sun and Moon in Navamsa Libra. Both luminaries in Libra Navamsa emphasize relationship, balance, and synthesis. Jung's psychology sought to reconcile opposites, ego and shadow, anima and animus. Libra's diplomacy is psychological integration. Jupiter, D9 Navamsa Libra. Jupiter, as philosopher and teacher in Libra Navamsa, strengthened the mission to bring wisdom into relationship, reconciliation of rational and mythic thought. It promotes Jung's role as a mediator between modern science and ancient symbols. Saturn, D9 Navamsa Libra. Retrograde Saturn in Aquarius natal, but Navamsa in Libra gives disciplined structure to his relational and symbolic teaching. Patient crafting of ideas over decades. Think the Red Book's long private incubation. Venus Navamsa Taurus. Venus on a stable Navamsa points to aesthetic sense, deep symbolic appreciation. Jung's attention to art, mythic images, and alchemical symbolism fits here. Synthesis. D9 shows a soul that must express deep inner experience through balanced communication, deriving meaning in relationship to others and culture. That's Jung, a bridge builder between inner images and outer discourse. In Jaimini astrology, AK is the pivot. We already saw Mars as AK in Scorpio with Karakamsa Pisces. Now, let's bring in the other Jaimini Karakas you provided from the chart labels. Atmakaraka, Venus, Dadakaraka, Jupiter, Manapada roles, and more, and read how they color the soul's work. Karakamsa equals Pisces, soul's form. As we said, a spiritual, creative, sacrificial orientation. The soul's ideal is compassion, mysticism, and union with collective images. AK's condition, Mars AK in Scorpio Jyesta. The soul is propelled by initiation and crisis, drawing meaning from intense inner encounters. This explains Jung's willingness to enter shadow work and record visionary content in the Red Book, an AK mandate in action. Planets placed in Karakamsa, D9 Pisces. In this specific Navamsa snapshot, Mars itself occupies Karakamsa. A self-occupied Karakamsa makes the AK the living environment of the soul. The soul is self-contained in its mission. The drive and the habitat are the same. That intensifies purpose. Aspect and association to Karakamsa, Jaimini emphasis. Planets linked to AK or to Karakamsa in the D9 influence life themes. From your chart, Jupiter functions as Dadakaraka, and in the natal picture, Jupiter is in Libra, and its D9 Navamsa is also Libra. Jupiter's teaching, philosophy, and capacity for synthesis reinforce the Karakamsa spiritual orientation. It bestows legitimacy to Jung's role as a teacher of mythic wisdom. Atmakaraka, Venus in Gemini, Navamsa Taurus. Venus as vocational Karaka in Gemini signals communication about values, aesthetics, and relationships. Jung's career blended academic publishing with almost a poetic attention to images and symbols. Venus's creativity adapted to Mercury's communicative domain. MK, Mercury, and PIK, Sun as Pitrakaraka. Mercury's natal placement in Gemini, the chart labels it as MK, gave Jung rhetorical agility. The Sun's role, PIK, suggests fatherly or ancestral themes, a drive to connect with inherited spiritual material, the collective unconscious. Jaimini conclusion. AK mandates the soul's method, courageous descent. Karakamsa Pisces mandates its aim, mystical union and compassion. The vocational Karakas, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter, give the tools, communication, aesthetics, and philosophical teaching. Put together, the Jaimini reading says plainly, Jung's soul chose an initiation into darkness to return with images and myths that would heal collective consciousness.